Asalamualaikum all, welcome back to my channel. I pray that you are all in the best of health and iman. If you are new, welcome. My name is Nafisa. I am a Muslim life coach and I support Muslim women with relationship and mental health issues. So if you're interested in being coached in those areas, you can find me over on my website, which I will leave linked in the description box down below. But over here on YouTube, I make Islamic lifestyle as well as dawah content. So if you're interested in that, then definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Before all of that, I'm actually a teacher. So if you're interested in online home tuition for children between the ages of 8 and 18, then definitely check out my website as well. So in today's video, we are talking about how to avoid that toxic man. Yes, the type of women toxic men hate. And you definitely want to be that, because unless you are on a journey of challenging a toxic person, then you definitely want to avoid them. And this is why you're here, right? So without any further ado, let's jump straight into today's video. Number 1, toxic men hate women who follow through their boundaries. It's one thing having boundaries, it's another thing being able to follow through your boundaries. So ladies, if you want to be someone whom a toxic man sees and he exits straight away, you can best believe the moment you instill your boundaries and they try to break it down and you bring it right back up again, they will only take so much of that before they decide to run, because they see your boundaries as you being rude. They see your boundaries as you questioning their masculinity, as you being a woman who can't be controlled, as you being a woman who won't want to listen. Toxic men have this mentality that somehow they are a superior creation, they have the right to control, and they have a need for control. And so the second you show any signs that you're not going to be someone that they are going to be able to control, they are straight out the door. They don't want to know you. Goodbye, woman. Now, they may on their way out call you all sorts of names. And if you don't have a healthy self-esteem, you might begin to think the person they're talking about is actually you. But a healthy woman with a healthy self-esteem will know. She will know, like she knows her soul, that she is a good woman. But she has and does instill boundaries. Now, on his way out, he may call you all sorts of names, that you are a woman that disrespects men, that you are not a feminine woman, that you are challenging his authority. And of course, he feels like he's very important. So how dare you question his authority? And he may go as far as telling you that you will never find a man who will put up with your crap because you are actually a very bad person, or a very bad woman at that. And how dare you treat him like that? You shouldn't talk when he talks. And you're going to have all of these things thrown at you, all because his ego is going this way, right? Upwards and onwards, because how dare you challenge me, the very important me. So when you are someone who not only has boundaries, but also enforce your boundaries. Now, how to enforce a boundary onto men is a whole video in and of itself. But I'm telling you, if you can master this skill, especially to do it in a way that isn't aggressive, but still gets your point across, I'm telling you, toxic men won't want to know you. They won't want to be anywhere near where they can even smell you, okay? Just have boundaries and it's enough to get them to exit. So that is one way to get a toxic man to leave, or to even avoid coming into your vicinity, is for you to be someone who enforces her boundaries. If you are a woman who don't know how to even put boundaries into place, let alone how to even enforce it, please take on this challenge and put it in as your next 1 year goal, your next 2 year goal, your next 6 month goal, that it's your job to learn how to put boundaries into place and how to follow through. Because some women, a lot of the times, we have our boundaries, we say these are my boundaries, and then the second we're given an opportunity to enforce our boundaries, we don't do it. The second we're given an opportunity to apply our boundaries, we don't do it. The second somebody else challenges our boundaries, we're quickly to like, okay, I'm sorry. And you're right back down where you started. That kind of nonsense behavior is going to allow and open the door wide open for all the toxic people to walk straight into your life. And if you keep asking yourself, why do all these toxic people keep entering into my life? Well, Somebody's leaving the door open. The next type of woman that toxic men hate is a woman that knows about manipulation. They don't like that kind of a woman, because the second they begin to display their manipulative behaviors, she's able to spot them out real quick, and they hate that. They want a woman who is so naive, she has no clue what they're doing, again, so that they're able to do it. Because when you have the knowledge, you are now empowered. You're now able to seek help. You're now able to study more about that thing, whether it's narcissism or not. Any toxic behavior, once you're aware of what it is, once you know what it is and you can put a name to it, then you can learn more about it. Then you can learn how to deal with people like that. And toxic men don't like women who know too much. Ever heard that saying? Oh, you don't want a woman who knows too much. Every minute, she's coming back at you with this, that, and the other. I've heard of, subhanallah, a particular community who hate women who study psychology, because they're like, she will always, every second she's trying to analyze you. And I'm not talking about the women who take it too far. But I think what they're really afraid of here with women who really understand psychology is because the women are in the know about the manipulative tactics. So she's not going to allow you to do that to her, because she's obviously aware of what you're doing. Whereas the woman who is ignorant, she doesn't really know much about it, you can convince her that she's actually the problem when you are the problem, right? So you as in the man can convince her that he can gaslight her. He can make her second guess herself, because she doesn't really understand what's going on. She's sensing something, but it's coming across confusing. But when someone is very much aware of manipulative tactics, a toxic man will not be able to stand her, because she will be very frustrating and irritating to him. So therefore he exits very, very quickly. So if you want to avoid a toxic man, you learn about the manipulative games that they play, and you are halfway into blocking them from entering your life. The other half is instilling your boundaries, like I said before. The next type of woman that toxic men hate is the woman who is able to make the right decisions despite her emotions. This is something that men are quite good at, possibly because they don't experience emotions as intensely as us women do. But it's interesting, because if a man is toxic, he will avoid a woman who is also similar. And what I mean by this is, us as women, sometimes we make decisions based upon our emotions. And because of that can lead us to staying in relationships that don't serve us, right? But when a woman is emotionally intelligent, I guess is what I'm trying to say here, and she has good control over her emotions, she's able to make the right decisions, the decisions that are right for her, despite how she feels. So he may have been able to lure her into loving him, because he sometimes give her a little bit of crumbs, and then she holds on to that, and then she has to do more to just get a little bit more. So he may have been able to hook her on to that addiction. But once she realizes that this doesn't serve me, this isn't good for me, and she decides she's done with you, she's actually going to leave you despite how much she loves you. And sometimes that is the strength in women that us women have, and we don't realize we have. And it's a lesson I learned a couple of years ago, maybe about 4 years ago, that sometimes, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that it's possible that you may love something and that thing is not good for you. And it's possible that you may hate something but it's good for you, and Allah knows and you do not. A lesson that I learned from that is that you can't always trust your heart to help you make a decision. Your intuition, more so, you can trust more so. But your heart, you can't always trust in making a decision. That is why sometimes you do have to use your logical brain. You do have to depend on those who love you. In fact, sometimes putting those who love you aside, you have to depend on experts. You have to bring all the information you have collectively together and actually reach a decision. Sometimes that decision is against how you feel. And what I know women are trying to avoid by avoiding going with their logic and rather than following their emotions is because they are avoiding the pain that they will feel if they make a decision that hurts them emotionally, even though that decision is better for their future. And so they don't want to go through that pain. So they avoid that pain and end up putting up with so much rubbish. So much rubbish some of us women put up with. And we put up with it sometimes all the way into our old age. And then some women are sat there at 50, 60, 70, looking back at their life, and it's full of regrets. Oh, I should have, what I could have achieved, I didn't achieve. And then you begin to hear all the blaming. And it was that person's fault I didn't achieve that. And it was that person's fault I didn't achieve that. But really, if you dig down deep, you begin to realize the role you played in tolerating that, in enabling these toxic people to just in and out of your life consistently. This video is here to teach you how to lock the door, not even shut the door, throw away the keys. Okay, we are not opening doors for toxic men no more. Okay, we are going to work on ourselves to be women of great value, to be respectable women. We're going to work on our flaws as well, because we as women aren't perfect. Some of us women are also toxic. So really, the person that needs help first is the woman. And once the woman has sorted herself out, you'll begin to see all these things fall into place. She will begin to have boundary because she has self-respect. And once she has boundaries, other people get to learn that, you know what, I might try it, but she will only give me so many chances. And once she's done, she's done. So going back to my point, a woman who is able to make a decision that I might love you, but if you overcross my boundaries too many times, I'm willing to leave you despite that I love you. Oh, let me tell you, there is so much power in that. I'm excited just talking about this, because these are like the deep issues I think about when I'm on my own. A woman has so much power when she's able to say, I can leave you despite that I love you. I know it will hurt me. I know it will hurt my emotions, because my emotions is telling me, no, stay attached to this thing because it feels good in the moment. But if I know that you are bad for my future, guess what? You're going to have to go. And I'm strong enough that I'm willing to go through that initial pain for the greater good of my future. And that is one of the type of woman that toxic men hate, because they know that they can't manipulate her emotions into getting her to stay with them. And so the next type of woman that toxic men hate is a woman who can stand up for herself. And I don't just mean physically confronting somebody, but being able to stand up for yourself when someone is demeaning you, when someone is always pulling you down, when someone is consistently just being an evil person to you, has no fear of Allah, has no consciousness of God, has no consciousness of one day I'm going to have to answer to a God that is greater than I. When someone just decides to be the problem in your life, and when that person is a man and you're able to stand up for yourself, when that man is toxic, again, he's thinking, this one can't stay in my life for too long, because she will challenge me every time I throw at her something that is unacceptable. She's not going to let me get away with my evil intent. She's not going to let me get away with bad behavior. Of course, he's not going to say that to you. He doesn't even realize that that's why he's rejecting you, but he will reject you for those reasons. He will reject you for those reasons on an unconscious level. And sometimes maybe even on a conscious level. He knows that he's rejecting you because he's like, I'm not going to get away with things that I actually want to be able to get away with this type of a woman. And so it protects you from having a toxic man enter into your life, or a toxic person, period. Like everything I'm saying here, it could be applied to your, anybody that comes into your life that is toxic. If you have this personality type, if you have these skills and qualities, you're able to put them into practice, you will just avoid toxic people in your life. It doesn't mean they won't attempt it, because oftentimes women who are kind and have a gentle appearance and have a soft appearance, a lot of people think they are an easy catch and they are going to be someone who's just going to let them cross over their boundaries. And they will get a shock and a lovely surprise when they realize you are not the one. They tried the wrong person. Not today, honey. Person. The next type of woman that toxic men hate is the type of woman who does not take responsibility for other people's bad behavior. Toxic men don't like this woman because they like to believe that they are always right and you're always wrong. That's what they thrive off of, believing that you are always wrong. So if you as a woman are able to say and humble yourself in knowing that at times you're going to be wrong too, and you're someone who is able to know when you're wrong and stand up for yourself, but also know when you're not wrong and when you're being gaslighted, and you stand up for yourself, again, everything links here. When you're able to stand up for yourself and you don't take blame for other people's bad behavior, toxic men are going to leave because they will therefore call you arrogant. That's the joke. You become the arrogant one for not taking responsibility for their bad behavior. I mean, the more I talk about this, the more I'm just like, I don't understand people's minds. Like, it's Allahu Akbar. But let me tell you, if you are someone who does not take responsibility for other people's bad behavior, you let them know that their behavior is unacceptable and they are the ones who need to do something to sort it out. And that, as much as it's a privilege for you to be part of their lives in a good way, it's also a privilege for them to be part of your life in a good way. Because you are someone who protects your peace. You protect your peace. So you will not take responsibility for their bad behavior. And if you show them that you are that type of a person, again, they will leave. The final points that I want to make about the type of women that toxic men hate are the women who have someone to stand up for them. As much as you can have your boundaries and have all these things into place, the bottom line remains that men respect their fellow men sometimes more than they do women. Just because there is, especially toxic men, actually, I shouldn't say men. Toxic men respect other men more than they do a woman. And so if a man knows that you have your father behind you, you got your uncles behind you, you've got your brothers behind you, sometimes he will think twice before he makes certain moves. Toxic men especially will be wary because they know that if they overcross their boundaries, there are men in your life who are going to hold them accountable. And this is where fathers step up, brothers step up, husbands step up. Sometimes, if other men are able to just enter into the lives of the women under your care, should I say, and they don't have any sense of fear, you have to question what you're doing wrong. Because they should be able to think twice and realize that I better not do that, because otherwise, her brothers will come for me. Or her father will come for me. Or her husband will come for me. They should have that level of respect. And that is why it's very important for women not to go and get married outside of their parents' knowledge. Because when you marry a man and he knows you ain't got nobody backing you up, he's going to treat you like crap 9 times out of 10 if he is a toxic man. He will treat you like crap because he knows he doesn't have to answer to nobody on your behalf. You have nobody on your behalf to stand up for you. So sisters, don't do all these things of, oh, I'm in love, my parents won't allow us, so we're just going to elope. Don't do that. Initially sounds like a great idea, but I'm telling you, one day when you have problems in your marriage, you will have nobody to stand for you because you entered this alone. So toxic men hate women who have other male figures in their lives who can stand up for them. This video, I thought I've loved making other videos, but I really have loved making this one because I think in this video, you guys have gotten a chance to really go deep into my mind and the things I think about at times, like consequences of certain behaviors. And through that and coaching other sisters and my own personal life experiences, I've learned, as I've personally developed and grown myself, I've learned how to protect myself and protect my peace. Sometimes our softness as women is all about not having to deal with so much of the crap in life. It's not always about, pampering sessions, and all of that's great. But sometimes our real peace comes from just not allowing toxic people in our lives, not letting them in, period. Not we let them in and now we're trying to figure out how to manage it, but just not letting them in the beginning. So I hope this video has served you well. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please make sure you give me a thumbs up and check out my other videos if you haven't seen those as well. And inshallah, I will see you guys in my next one. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.